Um, I'm glad to report that we don't seem to have had any tornadoes in town tonight. But I am sure that Chief Murphy can confirm that for us, hopefully. He is our first item on our agenda I'm going to ask if you could please just give a little bit of an update as to how things are going with the police department and how your transition has been. And then I understand you're going to present a request to enter into the Worcester Drug Task Force.
Correct. Yes, I've not received any calls that any tornadoes touched down, so that's obviously a very good thing. We were a little concerned about that early in the day, but thankfully, it seems like everybody's doing okay. And as far as initiatives at the police department, I think we're going in the right direction. It's very positive. We have partnered along with Advocates, which is an organization that brings a mental health clinician to the police department. We're going to join ideally with two local police departments. That'd be Berlin and Clinton. And what this mental health program does, this jail diversion program, it brings an experienced person with mental health issues, and they will respond to calls along with police and essentially help de-escalate any situations that might arise during a call. And also after the call, they do a great job at follow-up and trying to make sure that the people that need assistance get what they need. Another initiative that we've taken is we're mainstreaming an administration function called DTS. It will help patrol officers be more on the road than rather perform an administrative task. It's an app-based product. I think it's definitely going to cut down a lot of time that officers spend filling overtime details and filling shifts. We also have the Cops and Barbers. It's a fishing derby on the July 3rd of this year. That was something that Chief Herrenberger was looking to do. I think it's a great, thing that we can continue in his honor. That would be, start at around 5:30 at Bowers Spring. And last Monday, a bunch of officers, including myself, we participated in the Neshoba Athletics golf tournament. We didn't win. We tried, but we'll do better next year. And other than that, that's kind of the transition's been going well. It's really, there's a lot of good people at the police department. I've met a lot of good people throughout town. And what it's encouraging is the support that we get. And hopefully we can keep building on that and moving forward in the right direction. We also have 3 candidates under background investigations, 1 candidate for a full-time position and 2 candidates for reserve officer positions. If everything goes well with that, then I think we'll be pretty much at full staffing, and that should help with the morale and things along those lines of the police department.
Well, thank you for the update. It sounds like things are going well. And as you know, the co-clinician responder is an issue near and dear to my heart. It's something that we had talked about during the application process. So I, for one, am very excited to hear about that grant opportunity.
Yeah, it's a great program. We had it at my other agency, and I was in charge of that, and I saw the great work that these clinicians can do, and the people of Bolton will benefit greatly with that.
I did have one question about that program, and it's relevant to a discussion that the select board is going to be having later tonight. Because one of our master plan goals is to seek to have a social worker to specifically help with the elder population. And I'm wondering if this co-clinician would fill any role for helping with services for our elderly community members.
I know in Westwood, the clinician did work with the Council of Aging, and I would imagine that would be the same process that would take place here in Bolton.
Okay, that would be great. Okay, so do you want to talk to us about the Worcester Drug Task Force?
Yes, about a week and a half ago, I met with a lot of chiefs in Worcester County. They were very receptive to my being at that meeting. They were kind of shocked, but they were very receptive. Upon talking with them, they would definitely wanted encourage me to seek participation in this program. It's very beneficial to have an officer on this task force. The one thing I've noticed is, Bolton is a cut-through town, Route 117, right off of 495, that takes people to and from larger cities near us. If there are crimes happening in Clinton, Lancaster, Berlin, they're going to be happening in Bolton. I was a part of the task force in Norfolk County. I found the experience to be beneficial. You get to meet a lot of different detectives from neighboring towns. You get to build a camaraderie with those towns. If something's happening in Bolton, you might not recognize the person who committed a crime, but you talk to your people that you work with routinely, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, "Wait, I know that person." If it would benefit Bolton greatly, it will bring in expertise and experience officer back to our community, and will tremendously help solve crimes happening here. At some point, we might need that expertise, and I'd rather have it already on staff rather than count on a neighboring jurisdiction to help us. It is by far one of the best experiences I had as a detective. I did it for about 5 years, and I still talk to a lot of those detectives, and we still talk about how can we improve policing and how can we do a better job. There is a cost that comes with it, but that far outweighs what that officer will be bringing back to our department.
In terms of the cost involved, if I understood the agreement correctly, when our Bolton police officer is working on task force matters, we would still be paying for that officer's time and benefits. Is that how it works?
That is true. Yeah, you might be paying for like overtime and some training, but you could also try to seek relief from that from any drug seizures. You could try to get money through the DA's office that way. So if you're part of that drug seizure, you could solicit the DA's office to get reimbursed for some of it.
Okay. And I had a couple of other questions, which is this an existing task force that Bolton is being asked to join, or is this a new task force that's just forming?
No, from speaking with the other chiefs, it seems like it's been a long established task force that just we haven't been part of.
Okay, and the other question that I had was, would we just be designating one particular person or multiple officers who would be participating?
At the moment, just one. If needed, maybe more than one, but I would say at the moment, just one.
Okay. And I would think one of the other impacts of this, and this is something that I know we had talked with you about during the interview process, you had highlighted giving some of these sort of opportunities to increase morale in the police department, so that people could pursue specific interests that they might have that would maybe help us with retention of our officers feeling more professionally fulfilled. Do you feel like this is something that would try and help accomplish that goal?
It definitely would. Yeah, when we talked during the hiring process, I called it the career path rotation, and yes, it would definitely keep people motivated to stay at the department if can get out there. And I mean, when you become a police officer, you want to help people, but you want to do the things that you want to do, and everybody has different interests, and that would definitely help keep an officer here, I believe. And when you lose officers, it costs too much to replace them. So if we can, for the small cost of for the overtime, we'll be paying that much more, doing background investigations, upfitting a new officer, and things along those lines.
Okay, great, thank you. Does the board have other questions?
I had a question, but Bill, you can go first if you have one.
Okay, thank you. Chief, what would your role be in this? Would you determine whether if there's mutual aid requested or investigative aid requested, would you determine whether that would be applicable or not? Is that how this works?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'd be overseeing the officer who is in that task force, and I'd want the daily, weekly updates as to how it is going. Because we don't want to just send officers out there just to send them out there, but there will be times where there is a supervisor always on these calls that will ultimately make a decision, whether that's me or another chief down the road or somebody else in the task force. There's always a supervisor that goes over the what's going to be happening. So yes, but I would like to be updated weekly as to the progress of this program.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief, for the information. My only question is around when I was looking at the list of what appear to be maybe the current participating communities. Lancaster, which is a member of our district, is on there, but I noticed that at least as of right now, Stowe and Hudson and Harvard are not. And the reason I'm asking about them is because they're all pretty geographically contiguous, and I don't know if you have any insights as to why Stowe or Hudson or Harvard have not joined the task force.
Is Stowe in Middlesex County and Harvard
Oh,
and
that's a good
Hudson?
point.
I don't know towns well enough, but if they're in Middlesex County, then they would have their own task force. But in my experience of being on the task force, when I did it many years ago, I worked a lot in Boston, so we worked with Suffolk County. So you can go across town lines, but you're going to be working together with that task force.
Got it. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Stowe might be fully in Middlesex.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Hudson and Harvard both are as well, I think.
Yeah, I met the Harvard chief today, and I told him about this, and he was very optimistic if we're able to do this.
Great. Any other questions from the board? All right, well, is there a motion to approve Bolton's participation in the Worcester Drug Task Force?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call, Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
yes.
and I am also a yes. Well, thank you very much, Chief. Thank you for the update, and thank you for bringing us into the world of the Worcester Drug Task Force.
No, thank you. And thank you for everything that you guys have done to support the police department. And I appreciate you taking the time out to listen to me tonight. And
Hey,
Okay,
can I ask one question?
yeah,
I noticed on the signature page that there's a variety of entities that are signing, so you may want to elect who would be authorized to sign, whether it be Chief Murphy or a member of the select board or the town administrator.
let's see. They have the select board. Do they have the select board? They generally have a line for the select board to sign along with the chief of police. So do we need a motion, Jenny, for that?
How
I did
about
not
this?
look at it carefully enough.
Well, but what we could just say, like Kate could sign on behalf of the select board.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a specific line for the chief to sign. So,
correct, yes.
okay.
And Chief Murphy, I assume that they will be drafting a new signature page and sending it over?
They will
Because
be,
currently
yes.
we're not on here. Okay, great.
All right. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you and enjoy the rest of your night.
Have a good night and
Thanks,
stay
Chief.
safe, Chief.
Good
You
night.
too. Thank you.
Okay, next up is a public hearing on a liquor license amendment. Let's see, I think that I saw Patterson's, at least one. Yes, so is there a motion to open the public hearing on the petition of Bolton Bean to amend their hours, the hours of operation of their liquor license?
So moved.
Second that.
Roll call, Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Hi, Travis.
How are you guys?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
So we have your request for amendment. Do you want to just let the public know what you're looking for?
So basically we're looking for those 2 extra hours on Sunday. Sunday is kind of our event day. It's where we hold a lot of our bridal showers, baby showers. Because it's the only day we're fully closed. A lot of the bridal showers and baby showers do tend to happen earlier in the day, so those extra hours with the liquor license will permit us to do that.
Okay, great. And I had a question. Does this apply for Out of the Woods as well?
It would, because they're under the same license right now, but we wouldn't obviously be able to hold 2 events at the same time.
Got it. So, but it will apply to both businesses. Any questions from the board?
None from me.
Nope.
All right, any questions or comments from the public? If so, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing anyone. So is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. And is there a motion to approve the amendment of the hours of the liquor license to include 10 a.m. to noon on Sundays for Bolton Bean?
So moved.
Second that.
Roll call, Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Travis, you're all set.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, guys.
I just have one logistical question, and it's mainly for Jenny, but before Travis goes, I want to make sure he hears the answer. I know that sometimes the way that the information has to flow to the state around this is a little complicated. So I just wanted to confirm that based on the information we have with the one sheet that requests the change of hours, and then the second sheet that says requesting Sunday 10 a.m. to noon, but doesn't relist the current hours, it just says current hours and then requesting. Will we be able to make it clear that they're not requesting like an elimination of everything to just Sunday 10 a.m. to noon?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep, this is just additive. And
Perfect.
Travis, just so you're aware, I will be sending over this application to the state on Monday, because tomorrow is a holiday. The last applications that we sent over were reviewed and approved by the state within, I think, 48 hours. So it should be pretty quick. It would then
Perfect.
it would return to the select board to execute the revised license. And our next meeting is July 16th. So I
Awesome.
would be getting the revised license to you shortly after that meeting.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Have a
Take
good
care.
night. Okay, next up on the agenda is the annual select board appointments. The first of which is a recommendation to appoint Ann Tattersall and Lauren Harris to serve on the Historical Commission. And I think I saw Bob Bush here. Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good.
So do you want to tell us about these two new folks?
Yes, both Lauren and Ann have participated now in several meetings, and I think they'd be a valuable addition to the board. They'd also help us meet our quorum requirements because they would fill up to full 7 seats. So I heartily recommend their approval.
Great. That's wonderful to hear. It's great to see so much interest and to have you be at full strength.
I should thank Jenny for recognizing our quorum limitation and putting out the word. We wouldn't have done it without her. So I very much thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.
And I don't know, are either Ann or Lauren here, and did they want to introduce themselves?
I see they are not here. My
Okay.
bad, because I did not specifically notify them of the meeting. So I'm here in their stead.
No worries. This way they can't back out. Jenny, I did have one question on the agenda because it says 3 terms through June 30th of 2028 and 2026. And I'm wondering if that 6 is supposed to be a 9.
Well, it is through 2026, but it's Chris and Zena, I think, is in the meeting. I believe it might be listed on the reappointments because it is a term that ends on June 30th of 2026, but then would be up for renewal,
I
which
didn't
we'd be
see-
doing later in this meeting.
Yeah, I didn't see either of their names appearing on the Historical Commission reappointment list. That's why I just wanted to make sure and confirm. I
I
see.
think you could probably make the vote tonight inclusive of both the appointment through June 30th and the renewal through 29, and that would cover it.
Okay,
Good catch.
okay. So is there a motion to appoint Ann Tattersall? Let's break it up, just to be clear. A motion to appoint Ann Tattersall to serve on the Historical Commission for the 3-year term expiring on June 30th, 2028.
So moved.
Second that.
Roll call, Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. And is there a motion to appoint Lauren Harris to serve on the Historical Commission through June 30th of 2026 and to be reappointed for the 3-year term expiring on June 30th, 2029?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.
Next up is a proposed appointment to the Agricultural Commission. Is Kevin here?
Kevin is unable to attend. He was having some car issues. Oh, wait, he just entered the waiting room. Hang on
Oh.
1 second.
Good timing.
Very good timing. He is in the meeting. He probably doesn't know we're on this topic. You might want to let him know.
Hi, Kevin. We're just getting ready to start on the Agricultural Commission appointment.
Oh, great. I guess I joined right on time.
Perfect timing. So do you want to introduce your proposed new member who I see is also here?
Yeah, I will introduce her briefly and then let her speak for herself as well. So Olivia joined our AgCom meeting, our last AgCom meeting, is interested in joining the AgCom. She's got quite a bit of experience in with animals and also with her education, her degree as well. So I think she'll be a great addition to the committee and has a different set of experiences from the rest of us.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, thank you for recommending her. Olivia, hi. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, Kevin. Appreciate the nomination. I'm really glad to be joining you all tonight and looking forward to joining more select board meetings. Especially excited to join the Ag Commission. My heart and passion is in food and agriculture. I'm a newer resident to Bolton, just moved here last month, actually, and already looking forward to supporting the right to farm and the ag community in town, both, commercially, backyard growers, etc.
That is wonderful. You're checking all the boxes, new to Bolton and volunteering and AgCom. So thank you. Thank you for volunteering and seeking out a volunteer opportunity that is right in your niche. Can you tell us a little bit about what your interests are in terms of your background?
Yeah, sure thing. So I've always grown up in pretty outdoor gardening, agriculture type of spaces. I also grew up around horses, riding horses, taking care of horses. And in college, I went to the University of Vermont and studied animal science for 3 years, and then changed my major to food systems once they made that major. But all along was really thinking about the entire food system, as we say, from farm to table. And I got a master's degree in the field as well, and currently work in nutrition, food safety, public health, in the policy space. So excited to bring all of that contehave
We are excited to have you.
So just barely qualified to serve on the Ag Commission.
a lot to learn from the others.
That's awesome, though. It's exciting that you're willing to jump in so quickly after moving to town.
Any other questions from the board?
No, thanks for volunteering. 1 month in.
Ready to jump in and support where I can. Thanks for having me.
Be very careful because I'm sure we can find more spots too.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Okay, is there a motion to appoint Olivia Pena? Sorry, I've lost my place. For the 3-year term expiring on June 30th, 2027.
So moved.
Second that.
Okay, roll call. Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Olivia, welcome.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to working together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is a recommendation to appoint Lisa Sullivan to serve on the Board of Registrars. Hi, Kristen.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You want to talk us through your recommendation?
So, yep, Lisa Sullivan's been working at Town Hall for almost a year now. We will have a vacancy on the Board of Registrars in the coming weeks. So I am looking to have a new board member. Right now, our office is seeing a lot of petitions coming in for the upcoming election, and the registrars has responsibility, the Board of Registrars has responsibility to certify those signatures. So in order to have a quorum on those, we do need 3 people. Myself and Danal Kaselka are already there. So we're just sort of bringing Lisa on. And in the event there was ever a recount, Pam Powell did not have many in her time as clerk, so I hope to keep it that way.
All righty. So are you losing a member as of June 30? So the appointment should be effective July 1?
It'll be effective July 1 just to finish out that term, which is through June of 27. So it would be another reappointment next year if Lisa decides to continue. It's a non-election year next year, so I'm not sure, I may not be as, in desperate need of one next summer. So happy that Lisa was willing to help out.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board?
Not for me.
No.
Okay, is there a motion to appoint Lisa Sullivan to serve on the Board of Registrars starting on July 1st, 2026 for the 3-year term expiring on June 30th, 2027?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the annual board and committee appointments. And I think the board has a couple of pages of the proposed appointments. What I would like to do is I would like to carve out the Economic Development Committee appointments and address those separately. So does the board have any questions or comments about any of the appointments of the proposed appointments other than EDC? So this would be, all of the different boards and committees as well as the election workers.
So Kate, how does the open seat for audit advisory, does that just remain open?
That will remain open. That's something that we'll deal with hopefully within another meeting or 2. And also we would not be filling the 2 slots which are listed as not seeking reappointment. So that would be the Insurance Advisory Committee and one of the seats on Public Ways Safety.
Okay.
But other than that, we are considering all of the other board appointments and election worker appointments on the 2 pages in our packet. So, any questions or comments? Is everybody comfortable taking those nominations as an entire slate to vote on?
I am.
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to appoint the individuals on the expiring term list and election workers list as set forth in our packets, with the exception of the 2 slots who are not seeking reappointment, and with the exception of the Economic Development Committee.
So moved.
Second that.
Okay, roll call. Brian?
Yes.
And I am also a yes.
You need
Okay.
me. I'm a yes as well.
I'm sorry, did I not ask you? I'm sorry. Bill.
No.
Okay, all right, so everybody's a yes. All right, so then I wanted to carve out the Economic Development Committee separately. As I'm sure the board remembers, we had expanded the size of this committee a few months ago up to 8 individuals. And I think we had expressed some concern at that time about their inability to meet quorum at 7 members. So we were concerned about expanding it to 8. And I think that from what I understand, it has continued to be a problem for them to get quorum. But one of their members is moving out of town and is not seeking reappointment. So I wanted to have a conversation about potentially reducing the size of the Economic Development Committee back to 7. Any thoughts?
I think that's a good idea.
Has that prospect been broached with the chair of the EDC?
There was an email from Marie to him the other day advising him that we would be talking about this tonight.
Okay.
He had indicated that he thought that that information maybe should go through the EDC. But, I guess my thought on it is, I think that as the select board, we were already aware of this issue of them not meeting quorum. And from my perspective, it is impairing their ability to do the work that they need to be doing, particularly on the master plan. So I think it's pretty important that that they have a committee that is able to meet quorum and get working on the master plan items that they need to deal with.
I know they didn't meet quorum this month. What about the previous months? Do you know?
I see that Alan Levin is here, who is on EDC. Alan, can you tell us, do you know?
So
the
the last 2 meetings, the one right before the Backyard Bolton did not meet quorum. And the one previous to that technically met quorum for a minute before we adjourned. So that really didn't meet quorum either. And I'd have to go back and look to see when the last time we met quorum was.
Did someone arrive late, Alan? Or
Yes, someone arrived just as we were stopping the non-public meeting because of lack of quorum.
Okay.
And it was very late. It was probably like 8:45 or something.
Okay. Any other thoughts from the board? I mean, the reason I think that this is easy to do is because there's somebody who's not seeking reappointment and we don't have anybody looking to fill a seat on it currently. And I think it would help them to get to quorum if we just reduce the size. So is everybody comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yes.
So I guess we can do it in 2 parts. The first of which, is there a motion to reduce the size of the Economic Development Committee from 8 members to 7?
So moved.
Second that.
Okay, roll call. Bill?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. And that being said, is there a motion to reappoint the 7 individuals listed on the reappointment sheet to the Economic Development Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Alan, I know we're going to talk to you later, but thank you for being here and being able to answer questions on the EDC, and thank you for your continued volunteerism. Okay, next up, only 6 minutes late, is public comment. Is anyone here for public comment? If so, please go ahead and raise your hand.
Looks like Rick Merrill is trying to raise his hand physically.
Okay, I'm looking. Okay, Rick, go ahead.
I couldn't find the button for raising my hand down here.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. We've lived at our address in Bolton for 54 years. And I must say, I find it interesting that they're going to consider taking away a benefit to the senior citizens of having the trash bags taken out. A long time ago, we were all members of a recycling committee, and we always considered getting our free trash bags a reward for working on that committee. And I think the DPW has been doing a great job. They have kept track of potholes and broken drains, and they keep the transfer station working very well. So I'm just hoping that they will, and that you will support providing trash bags to seniors. Even perhaps if you want to raise the qualifying age to 65, it won't matter to me. So that's what I wanted to say.
All right, well, I appreciate your comment. Go ahead, you have something
One
else?
more thing. The Council on Aging has a plan that needs some work for giving out the trash bags without constantly interrupting the work at Town Hall. So I'm hoping by addressing these issues, we can get this to happen. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, and as I'm sure you know, we'll be discussing this a little bit later in the meeting. So thank you for your comment. Okay, is anyone else here for public comment? I'm not seeing anyone else. So we will move on to the town administrator's report.
For the first time in a long time, there is no substantive update for the Alton Neshoba project. All COs have been issued. I've been in correspondence with Jim Lambert just regarding a few straggler issues, but as far as I know, tenants are moving in, life is good. The temporary disinfection is in process, and the well pump serving the, oh, wrong date. Stop share. So I'm like, how did this happen? This looks absolutely familiar to what I've seen before. And no one else said that this was familiar.
I was just about to say it.
You're gonna say, well, wait a second. Yeah, I've taken Alta off. Yay. The temporary disinfection, though, is still in process. I wanted to give the board a heads up that the DPW director is gathering info regarding the state revolving fund timeline and also investigating our multiple funding approaches as the temporary disinfection will be installed. The next step then being the installation of the permanent disinfection. Just make a mental note, there may be a ballot question at the upcoming town meeting. We, as you know, are in the running for a congressional appropriation for a portion of that cost, but the cost would be likely in the 1.2 to 1.5 million range. The Main Street culvert review has occurred. I received notice there is a very low likelihood from Senator Markey's office of a congressionally directed spending award for this project. Culvert easement acceptance covered later, still pending, and culvert FEMA inspections, I need to confirm. I believe that those final inspections are coming up, but they may have occurred. For Green Road, there's no substantive update, but one thing that happened following the last select board meeting was I'd received multiple requests from individuals who wanted to know, where is this culvert? These are individuals for the most part on Green Road or traveling Green Road frequently. Wanted to point out that the site for the DPW on the Public Works page, you can go to projects, has basically the final culvert report for every culvert that you will likely be hearing about, as well as additional documentation, substantive pictures, all that good stuff. On legislation, our Special Act alcohol has been renamed. It is now a House bill. It was passed to be engrossed, and let us follow this process through to the end. No movement on DCAM. There's no hearing scheduled yet for Senate Ways and Means. The Fair Share Supplemental, which was signed by Governor Healy this week, did include a line for $200,000 to cover the paving of the parking lots and the roadway between the schools. For the Bower Brook repair, we're waiting on a Mass Trails determination. The environmental bond bill information that I've received was attached in your packet or as part of my TA report from the senator's office. Later this afternoon, I spoke with Representative Hogan, who had said, it is always an option, but it doesn't look likely. So we're now just relying on Mass Trails or likely the appropriation that the project had received at town meeting. And the conservation agent has submitted a grant for biodiversity for $150K. Regarding our staffing, the town accountant position was reposted and the treasurer and I conducted preliminary screening interviews. We're finding, and you would find this by looking at the MMA site, there's a true scarcity of accountants. I'd been in conversations with the Lancaster TA who'd confirmed that their board would support an MOA for a shared role. That is an option then the treasurer and I will be speaking about. All other financial aspects are on track. Our auditor's engagement letter has been submitted and signed. Our OPEB actuaries will be starting later this summer. And the supplemental tax bills were mailed recently for the any new construction since 2025 not captured. As an update on buildings, and you may have noticed this on the library page, the compressor failed last week. There's temporary AC units installed. One thing I just wanted to point out, even though we think of it as the new library, and it is the new library, but the new library renovation ended 16 years ago. And so specifically for the compressor, it's basically reaching end of life. The police, you've already received the update from Chief Murphy. Park and Rec, since we last met, has hired an assistant camp director, 4 additional counselors. They have 300 registrants. Camp will be starting on Monday. And likewise, the first 2 reviews by Jim Gareffi of the Neshoba Board of Health have been completed. I've been checking in with Jim. And I wanted to draw attention to the public who's watching. The beach is open and there are lifeguards staffing the chair from 10 a.m. to 6. The planning board voted to grant the special permit for the accessory use, the guest cottages at the International. The one thing I wanted to highlight for the select board was that special event permits for the International would still need to come before the board, and I provided the protocol in the packet. The town clerk, whom we just saw, had told me that there still remain 45 unlicensed dogs and that she will be notifying our animal control officer on Monday. One thing I wanted to highlight, I've spoken with many residents who want to come up with ideas, which are great, to reduce the tax burden. The clerk's office is currently working on this required mailing to the non-respondents from the street list, just to be in compliance with the statutory voter list. So in effect, we have a zillion cards going out with postage and then return postage so that we can maintain accurate voter rolls. The total cost to the taxpayer for just this card mailing is almost $3,000. So if you're contemplating, you get the street list, it seems ridiculous. You don't have to fill it out. No, do it. It will, save you money in the end. The fire department continues to work with Neshoba Regional regarding their summer construction and was just alerted that construction activity will be continuing on till 5 p.m. for the summer. I attended a school committee meeting and executive session to relay Bolton's fiscal constraints, as well as our limited ability to support an operating override if there's a sharply increased operating assessment from the school. During that meeting, my comments were echoed by the Lancaster town administrator. And in a day-to-day sense, we're investigating multiple telephone service providers. Our existing contract is a 5-year contract. So with the assistance of Jenny, who's also been finding great providers, we want to be poised to find something that provides more functionality and a cost savings by the spring of 27. And I personally am just watching and waiting on electricity contracts, believing that it's most likely we will probably go to the same contracts, the community choice aggregation that the residents have offered to them. Hope the select board has marked their calendars likewise for the 7/14 end of year transfer joint meeting. On the financial side, there is good news from the state regarding our snow and ice deficit. Late last week, the governor had signed a supplemental budget, which did include additional monies for Bolton and likewise the authorization to amortize that deficit over 3 years. What this would mean if we are not able to clear it with the monies that we have on hand, either via cashbacks or cash turnbacks from departments or excess local receipts, is that this would be carried forward for our fiscal 28 budgeting as a deficit. There aren't a lot of details into how we would get that money. This is still relatively new, but there is sort of a confirmation on a website somewhere that, 162 to assuage that burden. The box on the side that I posted was sort of the concern I have on the snow and ice deficit. If you recall at town meeting, we'd asked for an additional appropriation of $175,000. When advisory had met last on the 9th, they had approved $27,000 across 3 reserve fund requests. Those requests were for accounts that are at zero and typically have monthly bills. So advisory's last meeting was in effect approving May invoices. If I'm estimating and I'm seeing it being kind of a return for the July meeting that they're having on the 7th, and looking at the range of having an estimated balance in the reserve fund of $189,000. So we're still a little short, but I'm hopeful. Monitoring our revenue, though, because it's not yet the end of the year, but it's pretty darn close. Our general fund revenues, and by revenues, I mean both tax revenue as well as our local receipts, it's slightly ahead of the budget. Our collections are slightly like $424,000. The majority of that is through the investment income, which has surpassed our budgeted expectation by $244,000. Again, I want to highlight the hard work of our treasurer collector, who is Michelle Carlisle. On the real estate taxes, about 99% of real estate taxes and 96% of personal property taxes have been collected. When we're summarizing, just though at the end of the year, sort of everything goes into the pot. There have been some categories that unfortunately were lower than expected, like our cannabis excise, our court fines, and some of our fees. And that's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Any questions for Marie from the board?
Yeah, Marie, can you tell me who was in attendance for the NRSD meeting?
It was an executive session, so they'd invited, so it was the NRSD school committee as well as the 3 TAs.
Was there any agreement from Stowe about fiscal concerns or nothing?
Wasn't a disagreement. It was just that my comments and relaying Bolton's stance was mirrored by Lancaster.
Okay. And on the investment income, is that from interest income
Yes.
primarily? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to select board business, public service announcements. I only have one, which is that the transfer station is closed tomorrow for Juneteenth, for the holiday, but operations will resume as normal on Saturday. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, any future agenda items?
Yes, I have two. I would like economic development to come at some point and discuss their progress towards the master plan goals and Backyard Bolton.
That was actually going to be one of my items, which is that they will be on the July agenda.
Okay, great. And the second one, at the board's pleasure, I've received a lot of information from Gina Ash on the Next Gen Keep the Lights On project. So if you would like for me to compile what we know so far and present that, I would be more than happy to do that at a future meeting.
I would love for you to do that.
Okay.
And it's up to you whether you would want to do that in July or August or, whenever you think the timing is right based on whatever information you're receiving. So
Okay.
just let Jenny know whenever you want to go on for that. Okay, any select board reports?
Nope.
All right. Okay, so on to fiscal year 27 paving plan. Marie, is Randy coming or are you presenting this?
This year.
Oh, okay. Hi, Randy.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. We all survived the tornado.
Was there a tornado?
I don't know, it was a tornado warning. It rained pretty hard for a while. We'll go windy. We have, I think, three trees that are down that we have to do some cleanup on.
Doesn't sound like we made out too badly.
No, thank goodness.
All right.
Before we get too deep into the paving, I know there was a discussion earlier about the Green Road culvert that is on the list for repair replacement. It's the culvert near the fire pond.
It's between Sampson and the high school, isn't it, Randy?
I am thinking, yes, I believe that's be correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's the only one I know of.
Yeah, if you're heading out of town from the high school, the impound, I won't say impoundment, but the fire pond is on your right next to a driveway. Yeah, it's that culvert right there.
All righty. You want to take us through the proposed?
Sure. I don't know if Jenny has that available to put up on the board, but just looking for your concurrence on proposed paving list for FY27. I kind of need that just so I can get on the conservation agenda, get those and get the plan moving along. The roads, I'll list them real quickly. Lively Road from South Bolton, Hudson Town Line. It's also possibly going to be the short section on the other side of South Bolton. Marinot, which is the complete from Still River to the end. Section of Lancaster Road. There's a small section that's about 550 feet that's in tough shape. I'm still not sure if I'm going to do that one yet, but I listed it anyway just to have it. Harvard Road from Main Street to house number 75. Mechanic Street, which is the road to the school, and that's only from Main Street to the speed bump. That's as far as we can do with Chapter $90. Couple sections of Fry Road, basically from Berlin Road to the Berlin Town Line, Mount Wachusett, and Annie Moore. I again want to state again that this is still kind of preliminary. I mean, Wachusett is a low volume road. It's not in horrible shape, but it was recommended by our pavement management program, which is something I want to go over with the board at a future meeting, probably in September when your agenda isn't quite as packed. Last fall, we did a pavement assessment of all the roads in town. It included identifying locations of catch basins and street signs. And it allows you to set budgets, multi-year budget, and you can, it'll spit out rows with what to do with a recommended maintenance to be done on that road, whether it's be an overlay or a reclaim or whatever. And for this year, I mean, this is a list that I've carried forward for a number of years for this year. And running the program, we agreed on quite a number of the roads, which kind of made me feel good. I guess that my thought process, it was kind of going along with the computer program and the recommendations of it. They also had some other roads that were real short sections that would not be eligible for Chapter 90 funding. So I didn't include that on the list. So I'm just seeking your concurrence to do these roads. And just as an FYI, I estimated out these roads to be about $600,000. But I was pretty generous in the per ton amount. Hopefully, the price of diesel and everything's going to start coming down, and we'll get more competitive bids. Although asphalt and diesel are pinned to an index. Mass DOT requires you to use an index, and that's what the contractors have to use. So, say for instance, they bid $100 per ton for mix at an asphalt index of 75. If it goes up to 78, the contract automatically gets $100 plus a percentage to account for that difference. If it goes down, it goes the other way. So they're bidding on what that index is at the time it's put out for bid. So hopefully, go ahead.
Yeah, what's your timing for these? Are these sort of going to be staged over the course of the next year, or do you kind of bunch them up together? What would residents?
I kind of, I mean, I have to do conservation to get their approval. And then there's a bidding process that has to go out. It has to be approved by Chapter 90. It's at least a 6-week process to do all that, put it out for bid, put it on the central register, solicit bids, get bids back. It's probably going to be fall work or possibly even spring of next year. I can't be any more specific than that at this time.
Okay, and when everything starts to get lined up, is it going to be kind of one of these after another, or will it be?
That's generally it's decision of the contractor, but that would be my goal. Generally, they want to come to town, stay in town until it's done. They don't like coming back, remobilizing. It costs them extra money. It costs us extra money because there is a line item in our budget for mobilization. In our so they prefer to just come in, get it done, and get out.
Yeah. And when you say paving, what exactly is going to be done on these? I know there's a difference in terms of reclamation and full paving. So what are you looking at for these?
Lively Road, I'll just go down the list. Right now, Lively Road I'm looking at just overlaying it. It does need a lot more work than that. But I was just running close on the budget, and I didn't want to overcommit the budget. So right now I just have it as an overlay. If prices come in good, it may be a reclaim. But right now it's an overlay. Marinot is a complete reclaim, brought back to gravel and repaved like we did on Wilder Road. Lancaster Road, it's going to be probably a cold plane and overlay. It needs more than that, but it's such a small stretch. It's hard to justify bringing a reclaimer over there for 500 feet. It doesn't make much sense. It'd be very expensive there too. Harvard Road, it's going to be just a mill and overlay. Mechanic Street, it needs more than this, but right now my plan is to just overlay it, primarily because the work that we're doing at the crossing in front of the whole building, the drain culvert, part of that may involve a small portion of Mechanic Street. So I didn't want to go spend a lot of money now with anticipation of it, being dug up or whatever. So basically just provide a new riding surface. Fry Road is going to be just an overlay. Small section of Vaughn Hill is going to be supposed to be reclaimed back to gravel like we did on Wilder Road and repaved. Mount Wachusett, I'm thinking just possibly either a cold plane and overlay or a reclaim. One of the problems is before I got here, we did an awful lot of crack sealing in town. If you go down the roads, it kind of looks like spider webs it's not good to pave right over that, because what happens is the new asphalt goes down and reemulsifies that crack sealing, and it doesn't make a good bond to the existing pavement. So you either have to mill it out or whatever. So Mount Wachusett is still kind of up in the air. And the last one is Annie Moore. I was planning on that road's in real tough shape, but just doing a leveler in sections and then overlaying. A leveler is just basically bringing the road, some shape to the road back, and then overlaying it.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board?
No, looking forward though. I think you mentioned coming back in September for the overview of the program.
Yeah, it's quite. I'm still getting used to it. Still playing around with it a little bit. I will give you one thing that it is showing. If we stick only with Chapter 90 dollars of $500,000 a year that we're receiving, at the end of 5 years, our payment condition actually drops. We're not maintaining our roads. The condition of the road drops. That's one interesting thing that the program is showing. So.
Okay.
But we can run together. We can run a number of scenarios and look at them and see just exactly what's happening.
Okay. Anything else from the board for tonight on the proposed paving? Is there a motion to approve the DPW director's proposed roadway paving list dated June 4th, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Bill?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. All right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Randy.
All right. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Take care. All right, next up is consideration of the senior bag program for fiscal 27. And I think Alan is still here. Alan is on the transfer station committee. And I know that his committee has talked a little bit about this and has some thoughts that he wants to share.
Yeah, so we looked at two questions. The first question was whether the age limit should be raised from 61 plus to 65 plus, and all 5 members of the committee agreed that that made sense. The second thing that we looked at was whether we should continue the free bag program for those people 65 plus, and we agreed 4-1 that we should continue the program at this time.
What was the thought process behind wanting to keep the senior bag program in place for the?
So we are still trying to collect information. We're going to be meeting with Randy to understand all the costs. We're looking at having a sticker program. The bags were just reasonably recently increased in price. We're not sure how many people fall into the category of 61 to 65, and they will be disappearing from the bag program if you so vote. Plus, their sticker will become higher also. And we think that that's what we would recommend at this time until we get more data. Our expectation is that as of the first of the year, where stickers are in place, and after we talk to Randy in some detail, we'll have a lot more ideas of what the finances really are and how many people are using the transfer station. And then we would discuss some more recommendations back to the select board for cost savings.
Okay, thanks, Alan. I appreciate it. Any questions for Alan?
None for me.
Just one. You don't have to go into too much detail, but you said the vote was 4-1, or the sense of the group was 4-1.
Yep.
Could you give me a sense of what was the rationale for the person who was not in favor?
I will mention that in general, the majority of the committee is trying to get to cost neutral. We don't believe we can do that this year with recommendations to the select board. The one vote was, hey, here's some area where we could save some more money if we made that recommendation. So it was simply a speed recommendation.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And Marie or Jenny, I just want to make sure, we had pulled the minutes for the last 2 years when we reapproved the bag program. And I just want to make sure that currently the free bag program is 8 rolls of the 32-gallon bags and 16 rolls of the 15-gallon bags. Is that right?
That is not correct. It's 4 rolls of the orange or 6 rolls of the green. It equates to $100 if they go with the orange bags, or 90, like $96.75 if I remember correctly, for the green bags.
Okay, so we must have had another meeting that I just wasn't remembering after June of 2025, where we changed the amounts of bags. But we had all of the same restrictions, right, Jenny?
Yep, I think in February of 2026 is when the price of the bags changed, if I remember correctly, which affected the number of bags, but not the cost of the benefit to seniors.
Okay, but all of all of our, the limitations in terms of needing to fill out a census and those sort of things. Those are all still criteria, right?
Yeah, no other criteria changed.
Okay, so any further discussion or thoughts from the board as to how we should shape the free senior bags for fiscal 27?
I mean, maybe we're going to talk about this, but I don't know, Kate, if you're able to just lay out with clarity what the proposal would be for this year.
Yeah, so my thought would be just essentially to carry over the existing program, which is 4 rolls of the 32-gallon bags and 6 rolls of the 15-gallon bags. With the following provisos: property owners who lease their properties to tenants who do not meet the criteria for the program are not eligible to receive the benefit. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I am reading from 2024. Let me read 2025. Local residents must complete a local census to confirm their eligibility status. Property owners who lease their properties may not collect bags for their tenants who are not 61 plus. Seasonal residents will receive only a prorated allotment of bags proportional to the number of months they reside in town. And an exclusion for residents in town who have waste removal services provided by their residential complex. So my suggestion would be that we renew that policy, but change the age restrictions to 65 plus. Pending further recommendation from the transfer station committee.
Okay.
And Kate, how would we, I may be confusing what seasonal means, but how would that be monitored?
Jenny might be able to speak to that a little bit better because I think she's the on the ground boots who deals with it.
Yeah, we've had a couple of people that whose names don't appear on the list because they're not full-time residents of Bolton, so they're registered to vote because it's basically a voter list that we receive. They're registered to vote in another state, but who have argued that they are here for a portion of the year and therefore deserve to get the benefit.
Okay.
So the other discussion, and I'm not sure that it necessarily needs to be a select board vote, or I don't know, maybe Jenny and Marie feel differently. But I know that it does become cumbersome for town hall to be dealing with, a whole lot of senior bags throughout the year. And I know we heard from Rick earlier a proposal that maybe Council on Aging would take some role in it. But also we could limit the number of months that they're available at town hall and try and get people in all at one particular time, so that it's not drawn out throughout the year. We could ask that residents pick up their bags in July and August for the year, and maybe Jenny would have thoughts on a particular day of the week that's would be most conducive, where she thinks she would be able to dedicate time.
One of the things that I've been in discussion with Lisa Dion for, likewise, if it were restricted, say free bag Thursdays, which was advertised, I'm just picking a day at random. If it were advertised extensively, Lisa would be checking to see if she could have a senior tax work-off individual assist with the transactions. I don't know if the time or the place or manner in which the bags are distributed requires a select board vote. But one thing that I do want to advocate is just restricting, the option to come in and get your free bags at any time throughout the year because it is a large interruption for the staff.
Okay, so maybe we could have a vote to have bag pickup be in July and August, but leave the rest of the implementation to Marie and Town Hall.
Can I make one point on that?
Please.
I'm concerned with front loading the pickup in the year, because what essentially will happen is for the next 10 months, I'll have seniors come in looking to get their bags and they'll have missed the boat. So I would think that a quarterly date or even a monthly date would be more beneficial to make sure we catch everybody who's wanting bags.
So you would be looking, would you want like 4 designated months a year where people could come in? Or I don't want to make it too cumbersome.
Well, sorry. So in my view on this, having the board vote on the parameters of the eligibility of the policy, I think sort of fulfills our responsibility. And I think we can delegate the logistics of the implementation. Like, we're going to make them available, but I don't want us to necessarily have to vote on logistics, because then if they prove in an unanticipated way to be unworkable, then we'd have to revote to allow Marie and Jenny to change. So I'm just kind of like, let them handle it, unless there's something specific that they feel they need our backing for.
No, I mean, I think I can at least state my opinion, which I think it is reasonable for them to limit the dates and times that people will be coming in, because it is detracting from work at Town Hall. So,
Yeah. I think my guess is all 3 of us are probably in support of that. And I guess if we just say, yeah, you guys figure out the implementation, and then people start complaining to the board, we'll address that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions or thoughts on senior bags?
Yeah, I have one question, and I hope I'm not in violation here. What about in-law apartments, which you're seeing more and more of, where you have a senior living in a home or an in-law apartment? Is that an issue that we should be concerned about, or?
I mean, I would think that as long as they're living in a separate household unit, then if they meet the age and other parameters, then they should be entitled to the bags.
Okay.
It is a great question.
Yeah.
We have had some households in town where both the occupants of the house and their in-laws that reside in the in-law apartment within their house both qualify. And I believe in the past, the board has authorized granting the benefit to both the occupants and the occupants of the in-law apartment. But if that has changed, I would love some clarification.
It would seem to me that they're separate households, and we don't know that they're related family members, and I don't know that that should matter one way or the other. I think if a household qualifies, it qualifies. That would be my thought.
And
Yeah.
I just also have one additional question for Alan while he's here, just on the timing of the committee's decision on what that program will look like. Will that be communicated to Town Hall prior to July 1st?
Say that slightly different.
Will Town Hall know by July 1st what the program's going to look like for giving out the benefit to the public?
We weren't going to say anything other than what I just said.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Transfer Station Committee makes recommendations to the Select Board. So I think this is it, Jenny, in terms of senior bags for for fiscal 27. Are you talking about like the sticker program more generally, or?
No, I'm talking about the senior program because there's been discussion about reducing the days that the bags can be given out, and we are the entity that gives the bags out. So to know what we are expected to do come July 1st would be extraordinarily helpful.
We did not address that issue at all.
Yeah, I think that would be something that you and Marie would work out, you know, in conjunction with Council on Aging in terms of whatever you think is best. Like if you want to limit the times and that sort of thing. At least I think that's where the board is.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
I'll defer to Marie.
We'll figure it out. We'll get Lisa's senior tax work off people's schedules. We'll publicize.
Okay, and if there's something else that you think you need from us, if there's pushback or blowback, I mean, we can always revisit it, but. Okay. Brian, did you have something?
Well, I guess I just want to make sure I'm understanding the dynamic. My impression was that folks in the position of Jenny and Marie want the flexibility to potentially reduce the days that bags are offered. Am I misreading the situation here?
I think the ideal would be to also get assistance from the senior tax work-off staff and to publicize. There have been different ideas floated of different locations, perhaps on a quarterly basis, once at the library, once at Houghton, or as Mr. Merle suggested, what about a drive-through? But nothing has been finalized as we await the board's decision for parameters, age parameters and access.
Yeah, and my concern is without a clear understanding of the delivery model, we're going to have a lot of people coming in here the first week of July, as they always do. And I can accommodate them and give out bags, but then we haven't changed anything. Or I can say no, which feels uncomfortable without a clear program to say, here's the day and here's the place that you can get your bags. And you can also pick them up here in this day in 3 months or next month. So I just think clarity is helpful so that we know what we're communicating.
Well, I think it is too late to change anything that's going to happen at the beginning of July. So I think if people are going to come in, I think they're there, and I think that's probably an opportunity to let them know that they should be expecting more communication about, you know, a decision that hasn't been made yet about what the delivery mechanism is going to be. But you know, I wouldn't think that we can do anything about people who are going to come in the first week in July. You know, but I think you have the board's backing in terms of imposing limitations, you know, outside of the first week of July and saying, you know, our next bag delivery day is X day at X location. You know, I think as long as you publicize it and educate people, you know, it's going to be a recurring issue. It's going to cause issues for some people almost regardless, but it's, you know, that's the cost of changing a system. So, you know, but hopefully, you know, you guys can work out a timing system that is less disruptive for your daily work. It's just going to take, I think, a few months to implement that so people can learn what the new system is.
My last comment on this is that, you know, we have a select board meeting on July 16th, and if you are able to consult with the relevant parties to draft a proposal for the delivery mechanism that you then want us to endorse on the 16th, that would make sense. But I don't feel qualified to try to set out what the appropriate delivery mechanism should be right now.
Yeah. But I think it sounds like we're in agreement in terms of the parameters for bags. So is there a motion to approve free senior bags for Bolton residents who turn 65 within the fiscal year excluding residents in town who have waste removal services provided by their residential complexes, with the further caveat that local residents must complete the local census to confirm their eligibility status. Property owners who lease their properties may not collect bags for their tenants who are not over 65. And seasonal residents will receive only a prorated allotment of bags proportional to the number of months they reside in town. And the number of bags shall be limited to 4 rolls of 32-gallon bags or 6 rolls of 15-gallon bags.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Bill.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
And I am also a yes. All right. Thank you, guys. Alan, thank you. Jenny and Marie, thank you for your input. We will figure this out going forward. The next item, I think, is a super easy one, which is a vote to execute the amended alcoholic beverage licenses to Neshoba Valley Spirits and Bolton Exchange that we approved at our last meeting. Unless the board has any questions or discussions, is there a motion to vote to execute those licenses?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Bill.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
And I am also a yes. All right, next up is discussions of next steps regarding the alcoholic beverage license for Dagnall's Liquor Store. I saw Chris Green earlier, I think. Chris, are you still here?
Chris is here, and I am here as well. I'm Tyler Hensler from Upton, Connell, and Devlin.
Okay. Just let me get to my.
Yes, I'm here as well. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Just let me get to the relevant pages of our packet so that I can look at them as we go. It's a particularly long packet this week. Okay, so this is back before the select board because on December 18th of 2025, with the board's approval, I sent out a letter to Mr. Green indicating that he had 6 months to either reopen and resume business operations at the licensed premises, initiate and complete an amendment to the license for a new location within Bolton, or initiate and complete the transfer of the license to another qualified party. 6 months has now elapsed. So, Mr. Green, do you want to let us know where you are in terms of the process of meeting one of these 3 options?
So again, Tyler Hensler,
Yep.
I'm gonna let Chris answer some questions, but I thought it helpful just to give a brief opener, just so the board has all the information here. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Chris and I are here to provide the select board with some information to help them in the discussion for next steps with this license. As the board is aware, this store closed in June of 2025. However, from around that time or even before, Christopher Green has been actively trying to sell this license. So basically, again, Chris can answer any specific questions that you have, but we are here requesting that the board, bottom line, allow Dagnall's Liquors just a little more time to sell that license or relocate the store to make sure the license does not go unused and to prevent, frankly, hurting this local business economically. And Chris can give you more detail, but he's had several interested parties over the past year. And since closing, he's been directing all of his attention towards trying to sell this license. He's been in contact with several interested buyers. He's hoping he'll be able to sell it soon with just a little more time. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions. A few facts that I just want to get out there that I think will help are that Mr. Green and Dagnall Liquors, which Mr. Green ran with his brother, were good business citizens. They're exemplary operators here in Bolton since taking over in 2014. They've never gotten a violation. They've always conducted business in a professional and responsible manner. They are a local family-run business. Both Mr. Green and his brother live nearby in Hudson, and they've had to compete with the large chain stores. This license is essentially the business's only asset, and to revoke it here would be detrimental. So they only ask for a little more time to move their biggest asset. So we ask that the select board please consider these facts when making a determination on the next steps for this liquor license. And again, happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, so my question is, and whether you want to answer it or Chris does, if you think you're close to selling it, do you have a specific buyer? Are you in the middle of drafting contracts and agreements? What is the status, and how long are you requesting? What specific time period?
So, sorry, before we get an answer to that, I just noticed Marie had her hand up and I just didn't.
I just wanted to clarify that this evening, it's a board discussion in reference to the letter submitted by the chair, but this is not a hearing tonight.
Yeah, no, I did not call a hearing, and I think that should be clear that we're discussing next steps. But I'm interested in hearing nonetheless, how close Mr. Green is to selling the license. If this is going to be inked next week, that
Tyler, can I speak? This is Chris. Is it okay if I? Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So my brother and I had 4 stores, and 3 of them were a package deal, for sale. And the Bolton store fell through, not sure for whatever reason. So we kept the store open for 15 months, doing our best, doing our due diligence, trying to keep the bills paid and everything. And eventually they just caught up with us, and my landlord wouldn't give me a new lease. So we had to close the store down. And the store that we bought up in Harvard was supposed to be our kind of like retirement plan, so to speak. So unfortunately, right now, it's under sale. And the 2 gentlemen that are buying that store have had a lot of interest in the Bolton store. And I have voicemails and emails and other proof of it, but there's nowhere in town to take the store. The previous landlord doesn't want to talk to us, doesn't want to talk to anybody. So we're just, Bolton's small. There's not a lot of options. So I would, my brother and I worked very hard to grow the business, just like everybody else, the American dream. And if I lose a license, that's, we're out several $100,000, not to mention what I had to pay to keep the store open and keep the guys that were working for me employed, so on and so forth. So we're just asking for a little bit more time. If I can find a place tomorrow, the 2 people up in Harvard that are buying my store, they would immediately sign a contract and move forward. I've talked to Frank Patterson at the Bolton Bean, try to reach out to Sarah and Joel at the Bolton Orchards. I mean, I've tried everything, and there's just nothing out there. So we're just asking for a little bit more time, please.
Yeah. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay. I guess my thought on it is that, we did give you 6 months notice, which was, I thought, quite generous, because already the business had been shut down for many months before we issued that notice. And, Bolton does currently only have 2 off-premises all alcohol licenses. And this is one of them. And, I'm not sure that it's fair to continue holding this license up. So it would be my inclination to schedule a hearing on the revocation of the license at our next public hearing in July. What are the board's thoughts?
That makes sense to me.
Bill, do you disagree?
I'm inclined to stretch that to August. What would be the harm if we stretch that to August?
I don't know that it would be any particular harm. Brian, do you have thoughts? Are you okay with August?
The public hearing in August would be the revocation decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so I think our August meeting is August 13th.
So that gives additional close to 2 months.
Yeah. Jenny, do we have any other public hearings scheduled for 7 p.m. on the 13th of August?
We do not.
Okay, then is there a motion to call a hearing pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 23, to be held at 7 p.m. on August 13th, 2026 via Zoom to consider the revocation of the annual Section 15 all alcohol liquor license issued to Dagnall's Liquor located at 25 Forbush Mill Road due to discontinuance of business for a period exceeding 6 months?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Bill?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. So Mr. Green, good luck with selling your license, and hopefully we will not need to see you in August.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good night. Take care. Marie, we have no update on the Sergeant Road property, right?
We have no update. We have not yet received notice of a PNS.
Okay. So then we are on to policy review. Wow, this is a long meeting. But we're getting there. Okay. Policy revision for attendance at meetings of commissions and committees created and appointed by the select board. Jenny, can you put up that draft motion, policy? Thank you. So this is part of our select board goals for fiscal 26 is continuing the policy review and cleanup. And we had an existing policy from 2013. Off the top of my head, I don't even remember. I think it said 7 absences would be grounds to consider a position vacant and for the select board to be able to fill it. So I drafted this, and I would actually even like to amend my own draft here. This says if a committee member is absent from 3 consecutive meetings, I would like to strike out the word consecutive from 3 meetings during a fiscal year, since our appointments run on a fiscal year. Except in the case of illness, the select board shall consider the position vacant and proceed to fill same. My thought process on it is, while we are incredibly grateful to all of the people who volunteer for our town committees and boards, it's also a very serious undertaking, and attendance really is important for the various boards and committees to be able to meet quorum and do their work. So I think it is incumbent on the select board, if people are not meeting their commitments, for us to be able to get people in there so that the boards and committees can continue their work. Any thoughts or comments from the board?
I would like to add some language speaking to missing large portions of the meeting, just like the issue that Alan brought up. From my experience, I've seen people drop into meetings very, very late. And given the quorum requirements, you might as well be absent.
Do you have any specific language that you can put in? I also don't mind if we move this for further discussion next time, if there need to be some revisions.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to resolve this tonight, so maybe we can send suggestions. I'll just say I don't think I could support removing the word consecutive, and I'll give you a reason why, which is I don't think it's fair for me to vote to promulgate a policy that I've already violated this year, either through illness, family emergency, or travel delays. Like, I think I have probably missed 3 meetings. So I just don't think that's right for me to be like, I'm going to hold you to a different standard.
Okay. I think that's reasonable. I'm not sure you've missed more than 3, but I understand your point. Yeah, and there are some committees that already have their own requirements. Like Marie might remember off the top of her head. Council on Aging might have a different parameter than
They have a different requirement within the bylaw. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I mean, I could certainly get behind removing the 3 consecutive. But I also would like to have some sort of, I guess my concern is there are a lot of committees that only meet once a month. And if somebody's missing 3 out of those 12, that is a lot. I mean, the select board, which meets every 2 weeks, is a little bit more demanding. But, I think your point is fair, Brian. So why don't we all work on some thoughts and suggestions on how to tighten this up? And hopefully we can get that done at our July meeting.
So we should just send our thoughts to Marie and Jenny, and they can, great.
Yeah, and maybe they can put something together and put it in our July packet for consideration. Anything else on this policy? Okay, next up is consideration of a motion to rescind the guardrail policy, computer usage policy, health insurance policy under the ACA, and the sexual harassment policy. And Marie can, I'm sure, give more detail as to why these policies are no longer necessary. But my understanding is that the guardrail policy is really subsumed by requirements of the Mass DOT. So it's just not an effective or appropriate policy. And the other 3 policies still exist within our personnel handbooks and policies. So they just, my thought was that they did not need to be standalone select board policies where they're duplicative of other policies elsewhere in town at this point. Marie, did I get that right on the guardrail?
You got that right on the guardrail. And in terms of the employee policies, they're actually more extensive in the employee policy manual that the board had adopted in February of 2025. For the other 3, they're all rolled in there.
Any questions or comments on that? Any concerns about revoking them? Not hearing anything. Okay. So is there a motion to rescind the guardrail policy, computer usage policy, health insurance policy, and the sexual harassment policy previously issued by the select board?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Bill?
Yes.
Brian?
Yep.
And I am a yes as well. All right, next up is review of the NRSD facility lease, which I think Marie is going to walk us through.
Yes, included in your packet, and I believe I've distributed at an earlier meeting, the copy of the existing lease with the district for the 2 parcels encompassing the schools, Florence Sawyer and Emerson. You'll note the lease is up in June. It's a 20-year lease. I would like to make some updates to it, and ideally I would also have assistance potentially of a select board liaison. I broached this with the superintendent, indicating that some of the parcel identifiers not correct. The references to the regional agreement no longer work, as the regional agreement has since been updated. But most importantly, wanting to codify the wastewater treatment facility. Because in effect, those parcels and their function as a school are dependent upon the existence of our treatment facility, which was created and sized in part for the school. So the superintendent and assistant superintendent were amenable to this. I have gone through a few red lines. We cannot charge rent. We cannot refuse to sit down with the district, but I do want to document that the board is familiar with. It's not something that's just dusted off, and maybe inventively tries to figure out, what could work best for the town. So that's my update. It's our 20-year opportunity.
Yeah, no, I think that makes good sense. I mean, I'm certainly in favor of reviewing and updating and making sure that references are correct and that, that everything in there makes sense for the way things are now operating 20 years later.
And just in terms of the timeline, we need to be ready to go September or like
September, yeah. So I broached this with the superintendent. He was amenable, said, I'm going to broach this with the select board, sort of telegraphing that. Would he be okay if we started to make some changes, and would shop it to him? So.
And Bill, is this something that you'd be able to work with Marie on, since you're the liaison to the district?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great.
Thank you.
Do you need anything else on that, Marie?
I do not. We will come back with our drafts and a status.
Okay. All right, next up is a review of the select board's 2026 goals. With the idea that at our July meeting, we will set our 2027 goals. But I just wanted to review where we were on the 5 goals, I think, that we had for ourselves last year. And I had asked the board to take a look at the master plan in particular, which was our goal number 1. I think we kind of had a mixed bag of success on this one. I think we did not necessarily follow the procedures that we set out for ourselves in terms of how we were going to go about tackling our responsibilities under the master plan. But overall, I feel like we actually accomplished quite a lot. Some of the specific things that we did accomplish were reconstituting AgCom, which is now at full membership. I think we've worked successfully to grow and preserve existing businesses and work on attracting new businesses. We were charged with facilities assessment and a building task force, both of which I think are well on their way in terms of the future needs of the town and with respect to town hall and the Houghton building. I think also subsumed within the building task force is one of our other goals of looking at a community gathering space. I think that's probably something that we may be hearing about from the building task force when they're considering space needs. And one of the other things that we talked about with Chief Murphy, he's working on getting the co-responding clinician, which I think is going to help with providing some resources for our elderly residents. A stabilization fund this year, and I think funded it quite nicely under the circumstances. And we also were successful in getting our volunteer handbook and doing some good outreach to get a number of volunteers, a lot of new volunteers involved in town government. So that's what I think we did well on the master plan. Things that I think that we need to work on more heavily next year. I don't know that we did a whole lot on any of our climate goals, which was a large component. So I'd like to see us be more proactive on that next year. Working with the fire department on facility needs to store their equipment safely. I don't think we did anything on that, and I'm not sure that our existing building task force is going to be looking at that, but I think that's a priority because we need to make sure that our very, very expensive equipment is safely stored so that we get maximum value out of it. We also, and I think we were pretty unified on this, enacting the Community Preservation Act is prevalent throughout the master plan. But I think when we discussed this a few minutes ago, I don't think the board thought it was going to be very palatable right now to look to enact essentially an additional surcharge as part of real estate taxes to fund the Community Preservation Act. So I think we sort of put that on hold a little bit. But it is prevalent throughout the master plan. Other than that, I mean, there are a lot of longer term goals, 5-year plus, 3 to 5 year, which we certainly need to be looking at next year and the next following years. But curious as to what you guys think on the master plan, if you agree, disagree, have other areas of concern.
So Kate, you're thinking that at our July meeting, we'll discuss all goals for FY27?
Yeah.
Okay. Just because I wanted to make sure, because I know obviously the goal number 1 around master plan implementation is the one you've been focused on in your initial comments. But are you now asking for any thoughts about goals in general, or just sticking to master plan related ones?
I'm curious about master plan, and then we're going to go through the other goals as well.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, my only thought was that, obviously unanticipated things happen during any select board year. And so although I think it would have been nice to get further along with some of the aspects of the master plan implementation, I didn't feel like we did terribly, all things considered. But I think that if we have any master plan related goals for next year, we should actually call out maybe a small number specifically, and then we can track more specifically.
Yeah, and I think we should all think about that so we can have that conversation for July.
Yep.
Of what the priorities are. One thing I had talked with Marie about this earlier this week, is kind of having an all departments meeting so that we can all talk a little bit about the master plan and where everybody is, because there are a lot of things there where there are multiple responsible partners, right? So I think Marie was thinking maybe in the fall, that would give everybody time, notice that we're looking to have an all departments meeting, and put some real thought into what master plan goals and implementation will look like for the year.
I think having something like that on a regular basis would be very, very beneficial.
Yeah, I think probably annually at a minimum, just to make sure we're all moving in the same direction. Anything else on master plan? Anything that you think that we really did not achieve this year that we ought to have?
Nope.
All right, select board goal 2 was to establish revenue sharing principles with the school district. I think that we achieved all of the measurable goals that we set out for ourselves. I don't think that we achieved success in establishing revenue sharing principles, but I think that we went through the steps that we said that we were going to go through in terms of talking to our other member towns, making our position clear to the school committee, and sharing information with the public about the status. And I think that this probably needs to be a very similar goal again next year. Just because we weren't successful in getting a revenue sharing principle in place doesn't mean that it's not important to continue those discussions and try to reach an agreement. Thoughts?
I think we need to continue, like you said, we need to continue to work on that. And hopefully we'll get more participation from at least Lancaster and maybe Stowe.
My only observation is actually it was kind of refreshing to look back at the way we framed the 2 sub A, sub 1 meet with select board members in Stowe and Lancaster to better understand the revenue constraints, because we clearly said that we wanted to have a meeting with the towns to discuss these things, but then we were criticized at town meeting for like calling a meeting that boxed out the school committee. But I think I would support doing something, having a similar meeting, and if we need to telegraph in advance, hey, we're having the meeting, you're welcome to come, as you are to all public meetings, but the purpose is for us to have a conversation at this level, so I would be supportive of that.
Okay, great. Policy, select board goal 3, policy review and updates. We've gone through the vast majority of them. There are a few stragglers left to clean up. So I think we can get those done within the next couple of weeks. I talked with Marie about targeting August to have all of that done, just so we can move on. But we've done a lot of work on that this year. Select board goal 4 was transfer station strategy. I think we may have exceeded our goals in terms of, I'm not sure that we were at the point of forming a transfer station committee when we set our goals last year. But I feel like that's been a success. I feel like the transfer station committee is really actively working and producing good results. And I think they'll have a lot of recommendations coming to us during fiscal 27. Other thoughts? Transfer station? Because we haven't talked about it enough tonight.
I agree.
And the last one, goal 5, was a departmental review, which was a chance for all of the town departments to come to the select board and provide us with some education and talk about their goals and challenges. And I think that we have heard from all of the salient departments. So I think we did a good job on that. I think we need to work on the very last one, which is follow up with the departments to, just to see if there are any further challenges, and to see if they've made progress on what some of their goals were. But other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape on those.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, Kate, is if we are going to have a departmental meeting related to master plan stuff. I'm wondering if maybe just for this year, we just have folks articulate, as a product of that meeting, articulate in writing maybe like their top master plan related initiative and then their top, you know, efficiency or change type initiative, just so that for each one we have like one or two things that we can then very concretely circle back to by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay. Town administrator review discussion.
Sorry, just really quickly before we
Yep.
leave, so in prep for the next discussion, would you like people to send to Jenny and Marie in advance do any homework, I guess, so that
Yeah, ideas for other select board goals, refinements of existing goals. You know, I think it's fine to restate some of those, based on lessons we've learned this year.
Okay, so we should send an email to Jenny and Marie with our thoughts related to FY27 goals before the 16th.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay.
And normally we would have done it today, but it sort of fell off my radar. So I think we normally set the goals at our last meeting in June, but we'll do it our first meeting in July. We'll do it our second meeting in July. We have another meeting on the 14th, but not for goal setting. Okay, anything else on select board goals? Okay, town administrator review discussion. Has everybody had a chance to read through the things that I drafted and Jenny circulated yesterday in terms of the TA evaluation?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the first question is, do we want to look at acting on the proposed policy for the town administrator review? The reason I did this is because we don't have a written policy, and I thought that it would be helpful for consistency for boards year over year to know exactly what the procedure is or should be.
So just a question, the document that includes the policy is 7 pages. It looks like there's a policy on the first 2, and then there's some supplemental material, which I was interpreting as reference material for other parts of the discussion, or am I misinterpreting that?
Oh, you know what? I didn't, it's only the first 2 pages. I didn't delete the rest of the stuff.
Got it. Okay. So it is just the first 2 and the rest of the stuff is like,
yeah.
Okay.
That was a carryover from a document that I was working out of.
Got it.
So I would just be looking the first 2 pages, which are the policy and purpose, those 2 pages.
Yeah.
Any discussion on that? Anything that you think should be done differently?
It seemed feasible to me. I don't know. I guess I'd also be willing to hear any commentary from Marie about the feasibility of the way the policy is outlined.
Oh, and I will just say that I did run all of these past Marie before they were sent out to the board because I wanted her feedback as well. I did not want her to be in the dark about this.
It seems feasible if people are willing to engage in relatively speedy turnarounds. But again, it's at the board's discretion. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I take responsibility for this, you know, I have given a very short window this year, but I think this policy addresses it for future years, so that it won't be quite as jammed time-wise. And I don't think that I brought my proposed schedule with me. I had written up, oh, you know what? I did email it though to Jenny and Marie. with a proposed timeline to be able to get it done this year.
Yeah, so the policy, the first 2 pages, that looks good to me. And then I do have a question about the other documents, but we can get to that later.
All right, so is there a motion to approve the TA review policy first 2 pages only, the rest to be deleted?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Okay, so the other 3 documents are evaluation forms. One for the select board to fill out, one for the TA to do a self-evaluation, and one for department heads. So I had based this actually off of the form that Marie uses to do reviews of department heads in town. So it basically I just stole Marie's work product. So any specific questions or thoughts on any of them?
It's sort of an overarching question, Kate. So the self-evaluation draft and the select board evaluation draft or forms, they both looked very familiar to me from stuff we've seen before. So I guess first question is, am I right in thinking that there aren't super substantive differences, but then that the peer review form is new, but also similar to stuff that...
Right. So one of the things that I would like to do that I will put forward as a select board goal for 2027 is to update the TA job description, which was last updated in 2013. Just because I think that, it needs a review. So I didn't want to change anything very significant this year, just because if the job description changes, then, the evaluation forms should change to mirror that. So I just tried to align the select board's form to align more closely with the form that Marie is using for department heads. Because I think it's a little bit more in line with kind of what I see for reviews. And then the peer review, I tailored a little bit more just because it's still generally the same categories, but so I mean, I think they all are fairly similar to one another.
Yeah. I really like the peer review form because it doesn't have to be labor intensive. If I'm understanding the way it's going to be set up, there's a place where somebody can add a narrative comment if they want to, but they can also just give the numerical ratings.
Right. I mean, I hope that people do give some degree of narrative feedback, but if they don't, they don't. Also, it depends on how comfortable they are. As you probably saw in the instructions, the idea is that the information can be submitted anonymously, but depending on how anybody elects to answer a narrative question, it may be very clear what department head is answering a question. And it's up to them whether they want to do that or want to avoid that. But just getting general feedback, I think is helpful. So, any other questions, comments, concerns, revisions?
Nope.
Okay. Marie, do you think we need a motion to approve these?
As a policy, you could just approve the policy, the approach, but.
Is there a motion to approve? Well, we just approved the policy, right? Which said we were going to do all of these things.
Yeah.
So, but everybody's okay with these forms. So those, I have a timeline that of course I left at my office as to when everything needs to go out so that we can timely review Marie on July 16th. Okay. Nearing the end. Is there a motion to approve bills and payroll warrants W-26-25?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. And I think Jenny has one set of minutes for us from May 28th with changes. Okay, is there a motion to approve the May 28th minutes with changes?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. And that is the end of our regular session agenda. Is there a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to approve executive session minutes of a prior meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am also a yes, and we will return to regular session for the purposes of adjournment. Time for the